Cooper Kupp's time with the Los Angeles Rams is close to coming to an end. Why the Rams are moving on from Cooper Kupp. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams.
You are Locked On Rams, your daily Los Angeles Rams podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Ramley, and welcome to another episode of Locked On Rams, your daily podcast covering your Los Angeles Rams, free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're also available over on YouTube, so if you haven't yet, do me a huge favor, join the party, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. Also, I want all your comments down below. What is your reaction to this latest news about Cooper Kupp's future with the Los Angeles Rams? My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. I've been covering LA sports for over a decade, 24/7 sports, SI, Bleacher Report, Dodgers Nation. I also do NFL radio for Westwood One. I am flying solo today. The People's Champ, Mr. Travis Rogers, will join me tomorrow. But we've got a jam-packed show for you. We got some big news regarding Cooper Kupp. But first, today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. Terms and conditions apply. So, breaking news, Cooper Kupp is most likely not going to be on the Rams next season. And how do we know this? Well, Cooper Kupp went to his own social media to reveal that the Rams are looking to trade him immediately. Cooper Kupp wrote, quote, "I was informed that the team will be seeking a trade immediately and will be working with me and my family to find the right place to continue competing for championships. I don't agree with the decision, and I always believed it was going to begin and end in LA. Still, if there's one thing that I've learned over the years, there are so many things that are out of your control, but it is how you respond to these things that you will look back on and remember. I have taken so much pride in playing alongside my teammates for the LA community, so thank you for embracing my family and making this such a special place for us. 2024 began with one of the best training camps of my career. Preparations start now for 2025. Highly motivated, as healthy as ever, and looking forward to playing elite football for years to come. Love you guys, but coming for it all." So that definitely hits pretty bad. I mean, that definitely tugs on the heartstrings. I mean, we knew that this is something that was coming. I prepped you guys for this really for a long, long time. And I told you before that sometimes we need to have uncomfortable conversations on this team. It can't be all sunshine and rainbows for the Los Angeles Rams and for the players that you love, that I love, that we've seen win championships and have great seasons and, most importantly, give us great moments, right? We see Cooper Kupp, we think Super Bowl 56. We see Cooper Kupp, we think of love of the game route. We think of the year that he had. We think of what he's meant to not just this team as far as on-field success, but he's meant to this community. Cooper Kupp was one of the first guys that you really wanted to buy his jersey and that you really wanted to have be one of your favorite players when the Rams returned to Los Angeles. And he is someone that will never be forgotten for ushering in this new era of Rams football as they came back to Los Angeles. You look at 2021, Triple Crown winner, 145 catches, 1,947 receiving yards, had 16 touchdowns. He was incredible. Unfortunately, it's the time after that which is leading to the news that we got today. 2022, he struggled to stay on the field. He played just 9 games. Then he missed training camp in parts of 2023, missed time during training camp. 2024, the same thing with the injury. He's only played in 12 games in each of the last 2 seasons. And then you add the fact that from a statistical standpoint, he just isn't that same guy that he was. You're seeing someone that struggles to get separation, struggles to have any sort of explosive plays. He finished the year this year with 5 straight games of less than 70 yards receiving. Then you add the fact that he's entering his age 32 season. So you combine all those factors with the contract situation that he's currently in. Well, it's not a surprise that the Rams are going this direction, because you had to make a decision with Cooper Kupp at some point, and you knew that Les Snead and this team was going to handle this in a respectful way. They were going to handle this in a way that was best for themselves, but also looking out for Cooper Kupp and doing right by Cooper Kupp. I think of Jalen Ramsey going to the Dolphins. I think of moves like that where they don't want to have a situation like this spread where it's not a good move from an optics standpoint, so other players out there don't view the Rams as a favorable destination, right? The Rams realize that the culture is to take care of their players any way they can, but the writing was on the wall with this. We knew that this was possible because of the contract situation. We'll get into that in a second here, but also what happened at the deadline. The Rams were reportedly open to trading Cooper Kupp before the deadline this past season, but unfortunately, really nothing came about, just because the Rams at the time were seeking a second-round pick in exchange for Cooper Kupp, and they were willing to take on and eat some of his 2024 salary just to get a deal done. The Rams were willing to do that. There was some talk that the Chiefs could be a potential option before they were able to make that move for DeAndre Hopkins. Nothing came of it. And then after, I remember Sean McVay telling us that some of those reports were this and that, and he just kind of downplayed all those reports. He kind of questioned the validity of those reports, but there was definitely some smoke there. And I can tell you that the Rams certainly were exploring that at the time. And remember, at the time, there was no guarantee that the Rams were going to win the NFC West and win a playoff game and make it to the divisional round. At the time, that was not a foregone conclusion. Thankfully, they did turn their season around, and Cooper Kupp did have some moments. There's no doubt about that. But the Rams have had this front of mind as far as their roster build for some time now. And right now, as far as the trade goes, the question is there a team out there that's going to be willing to take on his current deal? And that is a $12.5 million salary this year and a $14.85 million salary in 2026. So that is a number for a Cooper Kupp that, yeah, statistically, he's not there where he was. He's not playing at a Pro Bowl level. He's not playing at an all-pro level. Could he still help a team? I still certainly think he can. And just reading what he said in his post, this is going to be a very, 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 very motivated Cooper Kupp that is going to want to send a message to the Rams. I don't care what he says and how amicable this separation is. He's going to want to prove to the Rams. He's going to want the Rams to see him have a great season. That is going to be the motivating factor for him. So I think that a team out there looking to trade for him needs to consider that, because Kupp's always been a fighter. Remember, this is someone that didn't go to Alabama or LSU or Ohio State or any of these wide receiver U's. No, this is someone who came out of Eastern Washington, and the Rams selected him in the 3rd round. It was Sean McVay's first draft with the team, and he came out of the gates right away, and he proved doubters wrong. He had 62 catches for 869 yards and 5 touchdowns as a rookie, and he only got better. He only improved from then on. So he knows what it's like to play with a chip on his shoulder, and that's certainly going to be a very motivating factor. And if I'm a team out there that has any interest in Cooper Kupp and I'm looking to upgrade that position, I'm considering it. But coming up next, we're going to tell you why the Rams shouldn't expect very much back from Cooper Kupp, and we're going to take a deeper dive in the contract situation. And is there any chance that something gets reworked to keep in LA? That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. And a reminder that today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner, your work doesn't end when the clock hits 5. your business is always on your mind, which means when it's time to hire, you need a partner that works just as hard as you do. That's where LinkedIn Jobs comes in. When you clock out, LinkedIn clocks in. LinkedIn makes it easy to post your job for free, share it with your network, and get qualified candidates all in one place. Post your job. LinkedIn's new feature can help you write job descriptions and then quickly get your job in front of the right people with deep candidate insights. And here's a pro tip. Add the hashtag hiring frame to your profile picture to double your reach to qualified candidates. No wonder 72% of small businesses say LinkedIn helps them find high quality hires. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. And we are off and running here on Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Also, a special shout out to those everyday listeners out there watching and listening to every single episode of Locked On Rams. Cannot thank you enough for rocking with us on the show, going through the journey of Rams football. It's always interesting, always something to talk about. The championships, the Super Bowls, they're made in the offseason, in the draft classes, in free agency, and we're going to be diving into that all offseason. We're going to have some interviews with some former players, some current players, lots of exciting stuff here on Locked On Rams to stay tuned to. So be sure to keep it locked here on Locked On Rams. But here in our second segment, we're going to dive more into this. And for people out there wondering, why do you have to trade Cooper Kupp? Why should you trade him? Well, it's a money move, and it hurts. It's not fun. But it's a part of the business. It's a part of the National Football League. And to trade Cooper Kupp, the Rams would save $12.52 million by trading him this offseason. That would reduce their cap number from $29.78 million to $17.26 million. Now, there is a small chance, theoretically, at this point, based on what he's told us, that's not going to happen. But there was a small chance that, yeah, you could rework a deal with someone, but that's unlikely. I mean, the most recent example of that is what we saw with Joe Noteboom. Last offseason, Joe Noteboom, he took a pay cut, and he did that because he wanted to stay in LA. He wanted to stay with the Rams. That took his cap number from $20 million to $11.6 million. That saved the Rams $8.4 million in cap space. And basically what they did in that deal was they took the salary and they converted that to incentives. And that allowed him the opportunity to, if everything worked out for him, to earn up to $14 million. But unfortunately, what happened, Joe Noteboom got injured again, and he wasn't able to take advantage of any of those incentives. He wasn't able to read any of those escalators or any of those bonuses. So that's the path, though. I mean, Kupp and the Rams, if they really wanted to, they could rework a deal to make it where it's a more of an incentive-laden deal where you can have bonuses, 1,000 yards receiving, receptions, and things like that. He could still take up a lot of money, and if he stays healthy and he can get productive and he's as highly motivated, as healthy as he's claiming to be, then maybe that's the route they would have gone. But it's unlikely. It doesn't happen very often, and players like that, they don't want to take a pay cut because they still think that they can have success and be effective out there and help a team win and get back to the guy that they were. That's why these guys are this good. That's why players reach this level, right? I mean, look at the statistics. Just making the NFL and signing a second contract is extremely improbable. So these guys have a healthy amount of delusion, and it's only good for them, right? It's definitely something that helps them. But I think for Cooper Kupp, it's, okay, we know that you want to go a different direction, and I want to go a different direction. I think, too, even if you lowered his cap hit, you would take it from $29.78 million to around $20 million. That's not probably enough for it to make sense for the Rams. And I think, too, it goes beyond the money. And I hate to say this as well, it goes beyond the money. I think for the Rams, it's, you have Puka Nacua. He's the guy, right? It reminds me of that meme. Have you ever seen that meme where the dude's walking down the street with his girlfriend and he's holding hands with his girlfriend, but he's looking back over his shoulder at a girl that just walked past them? He's looking back and this and that. That, to me, is Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua and Sean McVay. Sean McVay is looking back and he sees, hey, it's Puka Nacua now, right? And that's how it was a couple years ago. Puka Nacua is the guy that you have to build this receiving core around. And you need an explosive receiver. I mean, there was a lot of talk that they were interested in adding Mike Evans before last season. There was a lot of talk that they were interested in drafting Rome Odunze. The Rams have clearly had their eyes on adding another weapon on offense, and they certainly have made it clear at this point that they don't think that Cooper Kupp is going to be that guy. I mean, there are options out there. T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, Keenan Allen. I mean, you could build through the draft. You could explore some trades that you could add. So I think that is another thing too, is even if it wasn't about the money, it's also about the role and how that role impacts this offense. And it sucks. It's not fun to talk about because of how much Cooper Kupp has meant to this organization. But there's also a saying too, what must be done eventually should be done immediately. And I think the Rams understand that. And I think in this case, they see Matthew Stafford and Puka Nacua as two guys that they think can help them win a Super Bowl next season. And by adding another weapon and addressing other areas of need, this roster is not that far off from being a Super Bowl winning roster. And that really is because of how well they've drafted. And it's unbelievable because they really have whiffed in free agency with Jonah Jackson. Colby Parkinson wasn't great. I mean, there was a lot of moves that just did not go their way that would have sunk most teams. But because of how well they've drafted, they put themselves in a position where you're a handful of really nice pieces away from saying, oh, we might have a roster that could win it all. And that's what's all about for this team. They're not interested in going to make playoff appearances and making it to the NFC Championship game. No, they are either all in or it's how do we get to that next Lombardi trophy. And I have to admit that I think all things considered for the team next season, this is the right move. And you have to trust an organization that has reached the mountaintop the way the Rams have. As far as what they could get back for Cooper Kupp, don't expect a lot. Don't expect a lot. It's not going to be a half-eaten sandwich and a flat Sprite or something like that, but it is going to be a late-round pick. It's going to be a late-round pick, and it's going to be more about the contract anyway. But, yeah, the NFL, it's a business, man. It's a business. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I do think that a fully healthy Cooper Kupp last couple seasons, if it wasn't for the injuries, he certainly is talented enough to still justify that contract if everything went right. But the Rams don't see it that way, and they've been trying to trade him for quite some time, and it's going to materialize sooner than later. But coming up next, we'll talk some more Cooper Kupp and just his legacy right now and what this means for the receiving corps. That's coming up next on Locked On Rams. All right, so the big game is almost here, and there's no better way to make it even more exciting than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With over 10 million members and billions in winnings awarded, Prize Picks makes it fun and simple to get in on the action. Here's how it works. You pick more or less on at least two players' projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Prize Picks even has a free pick for the big game where Patrick Mahomes only needs to throw 1 yard to win. Pair that with one more correct pick, and you're cashing out. I love Prize Picks. I play it a lot. It's a lot of fun. It keeps you engaged. It's a fun way to continue to watch sports and have fun with it and win some money along the way. And this week, I'm looking at the board and selecting more for Travis Kelce on receiving yards and more for a quarterback's passing yardage. That's what I love the most. Fast, safe withdrawals. When I win, my cash is in my account in as little as 15 minutes. Check out the promos tab to tail any of the super sweet Millie winners big game lineups. If you tail a lineup that goes 3 for 3, you can win a split of $1 million in promo funds. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNFL for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Looking for tickets to the next big event? Maybe last-minute tickets to the big game next week? Whether it's a concert, a comedy show, or a sports game, finding the right ticket at the right price can be a headache. But with Game Time Picks, it's never been easier. Let me tell you how it works. With Game Time Picks, the app does all the work for you. It curates the best deals so you don't have to waste time searching through endless ticket listings. I've been using Game Time Picks for a while now, and here's why I love it. The curated deals make it super simple to find great tickets at a great price. No more sifting through thousands of options. I recently grabbed a super deal for a prime seat, and I couldn't believe the value. It was a steal. The seat view feature is a game changer too. Before I even hit buy, I can see exactly what my seat will look like in the venue. It's so reassuring. And the best part, you're covered with Game Time's lowest price guarantee. If you find a better deal somewhere else, they'll refund 110% of the difference. Plus, your tickets are guaranteed to be delivered on time with easy cancellation options if something comes up. Ready to make your next event even better? Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And welcome back to Locked On Rams. Thank you for making Locked On Rams your first listen every single weekday. Free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Locked On Rams, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Man, I don't know if you guys are Lakers fans. I'm sure a lot of you are, being from Los Angeles and being the Los Angeles Rams, but it almost feels like things are evening out, where you had the high of trading for Luka Doncic, and then now you get this news about Cooper Kupp. It kind of has the pendulum swinging the opposite direction, that sort of thing, just swinging that way and evening itself out. But with Cooper Kupp, you're going to find out very soon what the future is. My hope is that he somehow ends up back with the Rams. That's what I want to say to end this, really, is we saw Isaac Bruce. You saw with Torrey Holt. Yes, it was not fun. It was some nightmare fuel. It was cringe to see Isaac Bruce in a 49ers uniform, but hopefully some way Cooper Kupp ends up back with his team in some capacity before he retires so he can retire in the horns. But look, the positive to this is knowing what you have and knowing that they're in a better position now to move forward because of how well they've drafted with guys like Puka Nacua. Having Puka Nacua in the 5th round and selecting him and him being a all-pro level receiver makes losing Cooper Kupp, as sad as it is, it makes it easier to stomach because of how talented he is. And not just that, too, Jordan Whittington as well. I think Jordan Whittington, I said it last draft, I mean, if you go into a lab and you try to build a Rams receiver, he's that guy. Strong hands, tough, physical, can block, can do a lot of things out there. Great character, high intensity, hard worker type, just brings his lunch pail, and he'll get more opportunities. And the writing's been on the wall because you've added those types of receivers. I think it's about adding a different dynamic to the receiver's room that is also pushing him out. So you add that, and you add the fact that, look, I mean, if the Rams didn't draft receivers well, and Cooper Kupp was playing like this at his stage of his career, and all you had was maybe guys you could get on the free agent market or possibly trade for, but that doesn't work out, then there's a world where you lose Matthew Stafford because he doesn't want to be here. So worst case scenario would be the Rams didn't draft well, didn't find Puka Nacua, didn't have Jordan Whittington, didn't have the resource to go out there and get anything else done. And not only is Cooper Kupp getting traded, but Matthew Stafford would have had the option to find another team as well because of how they reworked his contract last season. And then you'd be looking at a down-to-the-studs rebuild. So let's be honest. At this stage of their careers, Aaron Donald, Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford, if you had to pick one of those guys out of the three to stay the longest that could help this team win Super Bowl championships, it's without question Matthew Stafford. It's clear based on his performance towards the end of last season in the playoffs, Matty Stafford has still got it. That tank ain't empty. So knowing that, you have to feel pretty encouraged and excited about the future of this team. It's not fun. It isn't. Trust me. When it becomes official for whatever move, I'm going to fall to my knees in the middle of a Chipotle, and I'm not going to be happy about it. But it's just the the business of football. It's the business of the NFL. And you follow this league long enough, you follow your teams long enough, you're going to have moves like this. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. And I want all your takes. I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you think there's any way where they should they think he's going to have an elite season? I mean, do you think that Cooper Kupp, he said he thinks he has more elite seasons in him. The numbers don't bear that out based on his performance, but maybe you think otherwise. I mean, I kind of trust the eyes and the stats and kind of what we've seen last couple seasons, and you got to trust the organization too. I mean, they've earned your trust, right? They got the Lombardi trophies. A lot of teams in the NFL, they have tried to do what the Rams have done over the last couple seasons with their way of going about their roster build, but they usually skip the part where they actually win the Super Bowl. Rams did that. So got to trust the organization. But that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On Rams. My name is Doug McCain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMAC_LA. And until next time, whose house is Locked On Rams house?